going on, Tamers? East here, and I just got back from the Grand Asia Open Finals that wrapped up this past weekend in Kobe, Japan, which is essentially the nationals for all of the Asian continent. Shout out to all the folks I met there. I had an awesome time. I got to play some great games. I participated in one of the side tournaments, 32nd place out of 235. I did an entire write-up and review of my deck and all my games on Twitter, so if you want to see, take a look there. Fantastic event. But during that event, we had some huge news drops as well, and so I wanted to cover a bunch of things. First off, the event itself, the news that we got and the reveals that we got out of that event, as well as the ban list that came at the very end. So we'll take a look at all of that and more in today's video. So let's dive in. On to the actual event itself, which was just a single day event. It was the nationals for all of Asia, and it was top 64 players from all over the continent. All the players who qualified at the DC1 Grand Prix and the Grand Asia Open tournaments that happened overseas, as well as the tournament system that happened in Japan, which is like a 3-stage event. All that being said, we had 64 players in total, invite only, so you couldn't join if you didn't have an invite. You could only watch like your boy here did. But they did have some side events that you could do, like matching battles, and they had 2 tournaments, one in the morning, one in the day. I did the morning one using just base CS Omni. That was a lot of fun, actually. That I did way better than I thought it would. But anyway, back to the actual tournament itself. It was 5 rounds Swiss, and from that 5 rounds of Swiss, there was a top 16 single elimination bracket. What made this tournament kind of weird is that the top 5 players got a ticket to the World Grand Prix, which is really weird if you're trying to run a 16-man single elimination bracket. So what ends up happening is all the Swiss rounds are best of 1, of course. Welcome to Asia, baby. And the finals were best of 3, just the finals to my knowledge. But going into the top 8 match, the players who lose their top 8 match, they have to get put into a side bracket, another like 4-man bracket, and they duke it out for that final spot. So if you lose that top 8 match, you have to suddenly play in another bracket where 4 people are fighting for 1 spot. And of course, those players who won their top 8 match will get their world invite for March of next year, I think it is. I think it's March, yeah, for the World Championships. But then at that point, they're fighting for the trophies and the card prizes. We also got a nice breakdown of all the decks going into top 64 and then into top 16. And there's actually more variation than I thought there would be. Of the top 64, you'll see it on the screen here. 1 out of 4 players were Sakuyamon players. About 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 were Digimon Bird players. You had a good, healthy mix of Royal Knights, Gallantmon, Megidramon, of course, Omnimon. The Gallantmon, they didn't have a good breakdown of like the different kinds or the variations, whether it's just like pure Gallantmon or it was running some of the TDID stuff. They didn't really give much of a breakdown there, unfortunately. Omnimon was there, again, no breakdown whether it was CS or if it was like Nokia plus the Mat and Tai Tamers, but I think most folks were running the Mat and Tai Tamers. Keep in mind they did split this and gas, so that is actually considered separate, which you see one of on the right side of the screen there. We also got some Imperial Digimon players. Blue-Green Imperial Digimon in Asia, I think, is just kind of like a dark horse that will never go away. People always just kind of pull it out at the last moment thinking it can steal a win, and last year at the World Finals it almost did, so I don't blame them for bringing it here, alongside various Imperial Digimon as well. Galaxy with his new tools alongside some Leviamon stuff was pretty nasty, and then all manner of stuff outside of that. Machine Digimon, Puppets, Zaphagamon, Lucamon? Really? Who watched the stream? Purple Hybrid, Gallant. There's one that's just Gallant something. It's a different picture of Gallantmon, but they don't clarify what it is at all. So it's Gallant something. Also good green stuff, or green good stuff, you know what I mean. But as we take a look at the conversion rate for those decks going into top 16, as you'd pretty much expect, Sakuyamon, the Digimon Birds decks definitely performed really well with like 30 to 45% conversion rates. Gallantmon actually snuck in a couple of decks there. Green, good stuff. Leviamon, Galaxy, and Machine Digimon. Most of these, with the exception of Leviamon and Galaxy, were just one-ofs. The green, good stuff, and the Machine Digimon decks, of course, having a 100% win rate, is only one person of each brought those decks. I was really excited to see what the list actually looked like, but I don't know if they made it to stream. So a bit of info here, actually. I don't care for this. This is probably my one big gripe about the entire GAO event, but I think it's an easy fix. So I went to the event hoping to watch my friends play and cheer them on. I got friends in Akihabara who were playing. I've got friends from overseas who were playing. And I thought it'd just be a good time to play some games and then also just watch the matches. But if you're at the actual venue, there's no way to actually watch any of the matches. They have a stream area, but there's no big screen to watch. There's no stage. There's no, there's just not a way that a participant or like a person physically at the event can actually watch. So there was this really weird moment where I was in the back of the event venue, just on my phone watching the matches on a 30-minute delay. I really hope that that's not the case in the West. Is it? If folks who go to like nationals or regionals in other regions, let me know. Is that the case at your events as well? Can you actually watch the matches? I'd hope so. Maybe I hope it's just an Asia thing, but I hope that Bandai makes that change and makes the actual events themselves spectator-friendly events for people who are at the venue. All right, enough of me on my soapbox. I'm not going to spoil who won the event because we're going to take a look at the stream itself later this week on the channel, and I'll put those up as videos as we review those games. I haven't seen all of the games, so again, don't spoil, please. I've only seen some of them while I was not playing matches or just like talking to people at the venue. That being said, let's take a look at some information we got about some of the reveals. The first reveal we got was the new LM set, which is named Another Night. I just feel like they ran out of names and like, you know what? It's just another night. This is going to have reprints for some of the Royal Knights cards, including the Omnimon Alter B. That's really popular right now in some of the Omnimon decks, as well as the BT13 Omnimon, who's useful in Royal Knights. Alongside that, we also got some new alt art for things like the App Link option card for the Appmon stuff, as well as Dinobemon, who is really useful in Virus Imperial Dramon. And with them getting that new option that searches red and purple cards, I'm super excited about this new artwork. On the subject of memory boosts, we actually got the last, I think, 3 memory boosts that hadn't been released yet for the game as far as like the color combinations are concerned. Those being the Obsidian memory boost, which is black purple, the red green, which is named Alexandrite, but I'm just going to call Tyrannomon memory boost because we all kind of just know. And finally, the Malachite memory boost, which is blue-yellow. So now, no matter what color combinations you're running in your deck, you can pretty much have a memory boost for any of them. Which means that Bandai now is pivoting to the training cards to give them some buff and some dual color training cards as well. From there, we got the first 3 being the black-yellow treadmill training, the green-red sprint dash training, and the blue-purple image training, all featuring the new Calumon artworks. I think that these ones are a little bit crazier. If you take a look at their security effect, it's actually pretty dang good. You get the full training effect. However, the cards themselves seem a little bit more balanced in the fact that you can't actually play a second one unless you actually have both colors on the field. So you can only ignore the color requirements if there's not already that option on the board. And of course, like other LM sets, these also feature some of the promo cards that are given away as part of prizes for Tamer Battles or store local event packs, as well as a couple of reprints in the case of this one being Diabordomon, and a couple of others as well. EX6 Diabordomon, I think, is actually a pretty good hit here. Actually a really good choice. I don't know about in the West, but this card is actually kind of expensive over here in Japan. So seeing this get a reprint is actually really nice. Medieval Gallimon win. Additionally, we also got a couple of new card reveals. The first one being the 2-star alt art for the Black Wargreymon Ace from EX10, and this thing looks hot. The all black and gold foil with the texture is so clean. Someone answered this in the, or someone mentioned this in the comments, but I don't know the exact one, but I think like there's a specific group of Digimon he's like standing on the bodies of. It's like one of those like groups like Metal Empire or Nightmare Soldiers. I don't know what this one is though, so if you do know, put it in the comments for me. Alongside this, we also got some reveals for the BT23 set, including some of the new CS cards and things like the Wormmon and Mastamon. And that Mastamon secret rare is incredible. Partition. It's like not Ragnarok Cannon. It's like Ragnarok Revolver, where okay, we don't go to 1, but we go to 3, and then we play the game from there. And knowing Anjuwomon cards, being at 3 security is actually pretty good. As someone who's a really big fan of the CS decks in BT22, I'm really excited to see what they do in BT23. We also got the addition of the new Tentomon, Ghostumon, and Betamon, all of which who are also CS traits. And it seems like they might be doing something a little bit different, where the effects are just not so much the same as the ones we got in BT22. I'll be interested to see how they either expand on this archetype or if they just give us completely different ways to play with it. We also got the new Hoodie trait or Hoodie trait. I don't know how to actually pronounce this. Apparently this is a thing in some of the CS games, but I've never heard of it. So if you have an idea what this like Hoodie trait is, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to learn a lot more. Well, they didn't give us the cards themselves. They did give us some of the illustrations for some of the new cards and some of the upcoming packs and starter decks. Things like the Zakuyama starter deck that's coming out pretty soon. You see the Renamon there on the left side of the screen, as well as the, I think this is the, Aegiomon? I can't remember this guy's name. Is it Aegiomon? From the new Cyber Sleuth game that's coming out a little bit later this year. And they gave us the artwork for a Seriousmon from the AD1 set, which I had a lot of questions about because it seems like the reboot booster, but it's like rebranded. And I think a lot of folks on Twitter helped to clarify that this pretty much is like a rebranded like RB01, like basically like an RB2 set, but I guess they changed the name so that stores wanted to try to carry it. I don't know. I know there was a huge debacle with the RB1 set the first time they came around. Stores weren't happy for it, and so I think they're trying to move away from that branding so that stores will try to give this one a shot again. Hopefully it works out though. Anytime I get to see Seriousmon or Gamemon cards, I'm happy, and the new artwork looks fantastic. In addition to those, we also got the new artworks for some of the EX11 cards. The one on your left here being the new Impmon James from the EX11 set. I don't know what he does, I don't know what his effect is, but fella can ball. He can hoop, I know that. Slam Dunk Impmon here will break your ankles. And then the girl on the right, I have no idea who that is. And if you do, definitely let me know in the comments below. It's a wonder they haven't rioted that I don't know the lore yet for everything Seiji. It's crazy. I'm not a lore master. I just like the card game. Sorry. Which brings us to our final bit of info here from the Gal Finals, and that was the new ban and updated restricted list. And honestly, I'm really happy about this one. I think a lot of folks out there, specifically bird players, I'm sorry. You guys got to just take the L for everybody, but aside from them, I think everyone's cool with this list. I think a lot of hits were pretty obvious. We also got a couple of surprises in there. The first one I think that's made a lot of players happy is the Sayo and Ko-Tamer finally just being banned, so there's no more loop shenanigans allowed in the game from those guys anymore. Yeah, we found a couple weeks ago. A long time ago there were more. They tried to like pair ban them, but no, the card's just completely banned from the game at this point. We also got the pair banning as a way to slow down Sakuyamon. They pair banned Chaosmon Valderarm and Taomon or Sakuyamon X Antibody. So if you have either of those two in the deck, you can't have the Valderarm in there. And that's just a way to stop OTKs from the Sakuyamon deck. And then finally, the restricted list got a whole host of new cards added. Of course, the first one being Gravity Crush, which was pretty much a no-brainer for everyone in the game. Parabolic Junk, though, was kind of surprising. Bandai hasn't really hit cards with the thought of what they could become in mind, but it seems like that's what this is. So the Parabolic Junk getting hit seems like a preemptive hit, so restricted to 1 per deck now. Surprisingly, though, they didn't touch, I think, what is it, Toxic Venom? I can't remember. It's basically a green card that does the same thing, 0 cost, and just gives you 2 memory for, I think it's either suspending or just deleting one of your opponent's Digimon. I think it's deleting. Of course, they need a Digimon to interact with, so if there's nothing on the board, you can't use it. But, I mean, you have to play Digimon to win the game, so, yeah. Of course, Guillemon, the Rush Guillemon from EX3, EX4? I think it's EX4. Yeah, this is the EX4 Guillemon. He's restricted to 1 per deck now. This one doesn't seem so bad, considering I think a lot of the decks were only running 2 of this guy, 2 to 3. One that was more surprising, though, was the EX3 Growlmon, who gives the Scary +1 whenever you can delete one of your other Digimon whenever you attack, which, because they're also using cards like the War Growlmon, who lets you play down a level 3 Guillemon for free, that's not a high bar to clear. It's so easy. Players could use this card to take out Floodgates, they could use this card to mill cards off top of their deck, and then on top of that, when they evolved into the level 5, they just got either a free swing from the level 3 that got Rush, and if it couldn't get Rush, they could just sacrifice it to get the Sec +1 whenever their level 5 attacked. Or higher, I suppose, yeah. Speaking of level 5s, this next one is one that I think a lot of folks are really angry about, but you just gotta hold this one. I'm so sorry. Garudamon X Antibody is restricted to 1 per deck, and that's because it just gives Rush and recovers a card for you. And I know a lot of bird players out there are not happy about this one. However, the players who were just playing regular Sakuyamon now can't play with some of the Sakuyamon cards. So if you're just mad that you can't play with your bird card, I mean, how do you square that away with the Sakuyamon players not being able to play with some of the Sakuyamon cards? If they were running a pure Sakuyamon deck and not Valderarm or Ruin Mode on the top end. So if they got hit, you gotta hold that. You gotta hold the L2. I'm so sorry. Maybe they'll print a new Garuda X in the future, but look, your sacrifice will not be in vain. We will not forget you. Going back to Sakuyamon Hatred for just a second, we also got the Digivolution plugin S, the green one, which is basically like a free evolve for the deck. It's like a secondary scramble. They also, on top of that, we'll talk about draw cards. The level 6 Sakuyamon, who lets you draw 2, basically a Pot of Greed and play a token, is also now restricted to 1 per deck. So they really, really went hard on Sakuyamon to limit what that deck can do. Despite this, though, the deck, apparently people are really interested in still trying to run Ruin Mode versions of the deck. Some of the Japanese players over here have been playtesting and mentioned that the deck can still run a Ruin Mode focus, but it definitely is slower to win the game than just OTKing with Valderarm, right? I mentioned in my predictions for my last Meta Report video that I wanted the Royal Knights deck to also get hit, one of those being Royal Knights of the Purge restricted to 1. It actually happened, thank God. A lot of people are like, why would you touch Royal Knights when they're not doing that well? Well, when you take away Sakuyamon and Growlmon, or a Guillemon slop or whatever, Royal Knights is pretty much the next deck in line, and so if you didn't touch them in some way, then they just take over. So I'm happy to see that the Royal Knights of the Purge got hit to 1 here. I would have liked to go a little bit further and maybe pair band or Yukin Mode, the level 7 Ace card, but looks like Bandai didn't go that far. I guess we'll have to see how the Royal Knights of the Purge shakes out. And then finally, this one came as a surprise to me. I had hoped it would get hit, but I didn't really have faith it would. And that is Metal Garurumon from the EX1 set, which is primarily using gas as a way to recover memory to keep your turn, even after you tip the memory over, evolving into an Omnimon or your level 7. I thought it was way too early, but Bandai felt like, you know what? We saw that one tournament by that one guy who did this with that one deck, and yeah, restricted to 1 now. So yeah, I guess no more gas. Yeah, Bandai definitely hit the brakes on that for sure. And I mean, and it's kind of sad considering the deck actually didn't perform that well at Gal, but considering the decks that got hit, maybe they had to do this, or they felt like they had to do this, so that it didn't just become like an incredibly powerful deck in the game. Because it seems like with this list here, Omnimon is still poised to do quite well. A lot of folks have also been thinking about just going back to like regular Dukemon, or Galapmon, excuse me. Galapmon X Antibody is a force of nature, and it seems like with these cards out of the way, he might be back on the rise to prominence. The card that you probably were expecting to see on this list, but don't, I think is the one that made folks really angry, and that is the Growlmon X Antibody is not here. And I don't know, I feel like maybe the Digimon being hit, Gravity Crush being hit, the Garudamon X Antibody being hit, means that you don't actually have to hit Growlmon X Antibody. A lot of folks, I think, are just like knee-jerk reaction, kind of angry that he's not there and that Garudamon took the L instead. But what if we just tried it out and see how it worked first before we got all knee-jerky and real angry with our pitchforks online? In my opinion, it seems like Bandai wanted to nerf the decks and not nuke the decks. And honestly, as someone who's played fighting games, I really like that strategy. Make something more usable, but not busted. Don't make it completely unusable. That just seems like the worst you could do, because someone, like, of course, spent money on the cards, they put the time and the effort to practice the deck in, and now they just can't use it at all. Seems like a complete waste. So I don't mind this strategy, I don't mind this approach, and honestly I hope they keep going with that route. Let's take a look and see over the next couple of weeks how Growlmon X does, and if it does become a problem, then maybe they'll just make another ban list, who knows. Yeah, I've already started to swap up some of my decks. I've already like changed my red deck back to Galapmon. I've started building Puppets and Kaguyamon for my yellow deck, and yeah, we'll start building from there. I'm also really excited to see how I can run DM machines now that some of the crazy stuff in the game is not there. I'm telling you, that BT22 version 2 Vademon is amazing. And so with that, I think we can pretty much wrap this one up. I know there was a lot of info released this past weekend, lots of stuff happening, lots of memes on the streams apparently from what I heard as well. Let me know what your favorite moments were from this weekend, what news you liked the most, or what how you feel about the restricted list in the comments below. Anyways, folks, I'm going to get out of here. I've got some more decks to update for that September 1st updated restricted list. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. 32nd place out of 235. Fantastic event.